Hello and welcome to the Working Tools Masonic Podcast, where today we'll be discussing overcoming the 7 blunders of Freemasonry. Today's topic will be quantity without quality with Most Worshipful Brother Jim Mendoza.
Ladies and gentlemen, brethren all, welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, a casual conversation around Freemasonry. First, it's important to note that our thoughts and opinions are our own and do not reflect those of our Grand Lodge or respective craft or concordant bodies. Please connect with us and ask questions via our website at theworkingtoolspodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Very Worshipful Brother Matthew Appel, a Freemason down here in the Grand Lodge of Washington, along with Very Worshipful Brother David Colbeth. And our other usual host here, we have Worshipful Brother Stephen Chung from the Grand Lodge of British Columbia in the Yukon. And our special guest co-host today is Right Worshipful Brother Trevor McEwen, the Grand Historian of Grand Lodge of British Columbia and the Yukon. And as I said earlier, our guest today is Most Worshipful Brother Jim Mendoza, who's a past Grand Master of Free and Accepted Masons of Washington, and a frequent guest on our show. Welcome back, Jim.
Good to be here, Very Worshipful.
So, please, if you would, hopefully everyone's gone back and listened to the first couple episodes on this topic, but just refresh everybody's memory, if you would, of the sort of overview of the problems of quantity without quality, please, if you would.
Well, a lot of times when we think about quantity without quality, we tend to focus on membership, and that's fair because lodges struggle with membership. So they try to look for ways to kind of increase their membership. Grand Lodges have done that. Many of you know the Grand Lodge of Washington adopted the one-day conferral, as many other jurisdictions did. And there's debates as to the validity of that program, but it can't be denied that several men were rushed through that program. And that's a problem. There's the focus of quantity over quality when the focus should have been the other way around. Now, from a membership standpoint, we've kind of addressed that with the adoption of the 6 Steps program. And I'm reminded of a conversation I had with Very Worshipful Brother Sam Ali, who happened to be my Grand Marshal. He was talking about the fact that his lodge, Daylight number 232, really doesn't have a problem with attracting individuals. And so they were doing degrees, right? Left and right. I mean, they were doing quality degree work. They were putting the time into the degree work to create a quality experience. But what they found was that not all the men were quality men. A lot of the men would either not even finish, or 2, they'd finish and disappear, right? And so his thought was, if I know that if that 20 people are going to show up and 6 are going to stick around, why put all my energy into the 20? Why not find out who the 6 are? Right? And that's kind of, when I think about that conversation, I think about our Grand Lodge's adoption of the 6 Steps program, where we actually take the time to learn about the individual, to find out, is Freemasonry a good fit for you? And are you a good fit for Freemasonry? Or here's the tough one that lodges have to deal with. You're a great fit for Freemasonry, but maybe not the best fit for our lodge. The lodge down the street is probably a better fit for you. And that's a tough thing for lodges to come to a reality toward. So yeah, I mean, the whole idea is, from a membership standpoint, really start focusing on, a quality individual. Who do you want to sit and lodge with? Who do you really want to call brother, right? Because in the end, you've heard me say it, because everybody struggles with my quote unquote title. And you've heard me say it multiple times. Brother always works. Well, brother always has to work. And that's the thing we have to look at. How important is it for us to really make sure that, again, you've heard the thing. Are we creating members or are we creating Masons? That's what's all about there. And before I move on next, I'd be open to hearing some of your thoughts on the idea on quality membership.
We were just on the lodge leadership training committee meeting this afternoon, and a local member, Ken Lane, Worship Brother Ken Lane, was on, and we were talking about trying to help lodges create a vision. There was a long-range planning discussion element in our lodge leadership retreat program, and I was saying, gosh, wouldn't it be nice to have the lodge leadership retreat, or I'm sorry, the long-range planning committee be part of that, or a member from it, or something, to be on that, or at least discuss with them about it. And so I provided them a link to a strategic document, a strategy development program for lodges that I found and modified. And number one was creating a vision for your lodge, or creating a vision of your lodge. And number two was basically creating a vision of yourself. And as Ken had developed a new program called the Elephant in the Room, which is basically what you were talking about, that the Mason may not be the fit for the lodge. He might be a fit for Masonry, but not for the lodge. And so he said that's critical. The lodge needs to figure out what their vision is, who they are as a lodge. And then that helps them to decide what they want to be and what programs they want to have. And are they charitable? Are they esoteric? Lodges can be several things, but I think we talked about it before. You can't be everything necessarily. And then I think it's just as important for the man to say, who am I? What do I want out of Masonry? And is this lodge able to provide it? Are these brethren able to provide it? Doesn't mean that I can't go to this lodge for this piece of it, and then maybe to another lodge for another piece of it, potentially. And that's, I think, the beauty of being able to travel in foreign countries, if you will. So I also not fan of the word demit. Demit has become such a negative connotation to it. I think if for whatever reason this lodge isn't providing the Masonic and experience that you want, being able to move to another lodge or participate in another lodge is critical.
Well, and you see that it's interesting that you say that, because one of the things that we learned through initiating the 6-step program in our lodge, as we got to know what their expectations were and things like that, so we were able to put a game plan together to provide them with what they needed. We also educated them that they may not find everything they're looking for in our lodge. But one of the beautiful things about Freemasonry is the ability to travel and visit other lodges. And so when you, for example, want to get involved in good ritual teams and things like that, you go and you travel and you visit, you find places to do that. You know, you can go and sit in a chair at anybody's lodge as long as you've held that rank or so on. You know, the rules, right? So quite often I'll get involved and I'll go and I'll do pieces of the degree work when I go visit a lodge and participate in their lodge as if I was one of the team, right? And so that's kind of we kind of try to make sure that candidates coming into Freemasonry now realize that we're their home, we're their mother lodge, right? But that if they're going to look for certain things in Freemasonry, they may find some of it here and some of it there and some of it over there at another lodge. So make sure they get out and visit, and that will also fulfill other needs for them just by getting out and visiting.
And didn't we adapt the 6 steps? I think I remember our 6 steps guidelines actually said Grand Lodge of British Columbia on it for a while, until they realized that they probably shouldn't just provide the link to your document and then modified it for Washington. At least put the Washington logo on there. I think the language even said BC for a while.
But even the cool part about that is, you know, it's like we share why reinvent the wheel?
Absolutely.
Right? You find something's working, right? Then you share, right? Whether it's a Grand Lodge to Grand Lodge thing, or whether it's a lodge to lodge thing or district thing, right? So I think it's pretty cool that that particular program has spanned our borders and is having the same effect everywhere it's implemented.
I can say I'm a little bit of the Westgate guy, mostly for our lodge. What we call it the Westgate person, the person that kind of has the first interaction with someone that's interested in Masonry, call them the Inquirer, mainly because I'm also the webmaster, and so I just have the emails come to me. But I also try to remember to be careful to some extent that I'm not too much of a guard. It's not that I'm trying to block them, and I also try to say, would I have made it through the 6 steps program if I was new coming in? And so I have to to check myself to make sure that I'm not trying, because it's not supposed to be a block or a hindrance to them. It's just supposed to help them, guide them along the path to help them make the decision on what they're doing. And yeah, I think I remember Most Worshipful Dean Heinemann, which was my grandmaster when I was master. He had said, and I think all grandmasters have said that quantity and the quality is more important than the quality. I'd rather have, I think I even said it, even my charitable organizations like Lions Club, I'd rather have 10 solid members and 100 volunteers than 100 members and only 10 show up, 10 volunteers when you need something.
Yeah, well, when we got that program handed to us, our retention rate really sucked. I mean, our attrition rate was 86%, and they never stuck around because I think they weren't getting what they were really looking for, but nobody spent the time to find out. And ever since we put the program in place, we have a 96% retention rate, right, of everybody that's come through the program. So it speaks volumes for the program and spending the time to find out what a guy's looking for. And, it is true. Some guys might not be a good fit for our lodge. And in some cases, I've actually recommended that they go and they search out an investigation from St. George's Lodge, the other lodge in town, primarily because they do the Canadian work. And a lot of their members were former RCMP members and military guys. And so when there was like the RCMP degree team is something that would have been important to them as being a military guy, I recommended they go and they find somebody there. And I put them in touch with somebody, of course, and then they end up joining that lodge and whatnot. And because it was a better fit, and it's not necessarily about membership in my lodge. What's the best membership for that candidate?
There's something else to consider, especially in this time of COVID. We are really seeing who the quality members are in this time, because they're the individuals like yourselves who want to keep Freemasons engaged. All right. Right now, the biggest struggle that we all have is how do we stay connected? And so what the podcast here is doing is showing that, hey, look at, these are quality individuals trying an idea to help keep brethren engaged. And you're seeing that in more tangible things as well. You're seeing brethren step to the plate going, we can't quote unquote practice Freemasonry, but we can do things to improve our buildings. And so you're seeing brethren undertake building projects. There are three lodges in David and my district where the brethren have undertaken extensive renovations during this period of time. Again, in part because I'm probably going to say this again. What is your building screams Freemasonry 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So what is it saying about the fraternity? What's it saying about your lodge? And so you're seeing these brethren do that kind of thing. You're also seeing brethren find other ways to manifest their Freemasonry. St. John's Lodge has this Operation Kid Smile project where they typically host a dinner and a Santa Claus. Well, they can't host that dinner and Santa Claus, but they can still create that experience for the young families that they service. Richland 283 has in Southeast Washington has found a way to deliver toys to kids that are stuck in the hospital for the holidays. And I look at my lodge, we filled in for the National Guard on Veterans Day at the food bank. So, what you're finding is when you really focus on quality, you see those quality individuals rise to the top, especially in these times. In these times, we value those quality members and we value what they're doing to make sure that Freemasonry remains vital. Because as we all know, Freemasonry is a habit, right? I go to lodge on Saturday and Wednesdays. I have a ritual practice on Monday. I have a Working Tools podcast interview at 7:30 every other Sunday, that kind of thing, When the habit ain't there, You know,
Well, they say it's once you miss half a dozen meetings, it's really easy to keep staying home.
yeah,
And like
Exactly.
you say, breaking that habit, right?
yeah.
Um, but I believe that for that habit to continue, there also has to be that draw, that thing that draws you to these meetings, right? And that's why I really appreciate the value and the intention of the 6-step program to find out what a candidate is really seeking. Why are they asking for membership? Why are they wanting to come and join us? Is it for the fraternal aspect? Is it for the education? Is it, why? And so that we can actually tailor their program coming in through the mentorship program to make sure that candidate gets pointed in the right direction. Like some of them are looking for the esoteric side of things, and of course that's not in mainstream masonry. And so you got to kind of point them in the right direction when it's the right time for them. And if you don't know that they're looking for that, and that deep down that's really what they want, you'll never point them there. So I really value this program and the things that the Grand Lodges have put out for to help us with improving the quality of masonry.
Mm-hmm.
Another interesting. This is a really good spin, actually, because we had a long discussion in our Zoom meeting the other night about dues and the value they're getting out of our lodge, and the things that some guys are wishing that we increase our dues so that we can afford to do more things to make our lodge that much more value add. Right. And some guys are like, no, cut the dues out, cut the dues. Right. And it makes it really an interesting discussion when you see the guys that want to increase for making it a better experience. Right. I think that's great.
But that's the second point of quality. And Matt, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry about that. But that is the second point of quality. Quality is not necessarily expensive, right? But it also can't be cheap. I can't count the number of times when I've been at a planning meeting for something and people are looking for the cheapest possible way to do something. And what do you get? You get paper plates and plastic forks. That's what you get. Or my personal favorite, you get a Valentine's Day meal that's made by our wives. Yeah, that's my personal favorite there. The money that we get, we take in as a lodge, whether it be for dues or whether it be for donations, things like that, unless it's particularly purposed, right, is not sacrosanct. We can spend the money for a positive experience to help increase the quality of our lodge within the eyes of its own membership. Right? We talk, that's the thing. If you have a quality experience, you talk about this, you'll retain your brethren. If you don't have a quality experience, they'll look for something else. Perfect example. My lodge is committed to the first thing that's going to happen after we get out of this COVID thing is we're throwing a party. We don't know what kind of party it's going to be. We just know we're going to throw one. Okay. And believe me, because, David's a past deputy of 13. Frank S. Land knows how to throw a party. So we're gonna invite the wives, the kids, everyone. We're just gonna have a party just to say hi. How are you doing? Just something there. But we're going to approach it from the standpoint as we're not really worried about a budgetary standpoint. We've got the money. We'll spend the money. Okay, we won't go overboard, obviously, but we'll make sure that we're judicious without to the point of saying, we're going to constrict everything, and so everything is this. So everything is like, it's no more than six. What was it? There was a Grand Master in my jurisdiction that said he didn't want, David, Matt, you're going to love this. He didn't want a district meeting to be more than $8 a person.
This wasn't in 1953, was it?
No, it was pretty recent. But it was like, whoa. I mean, I know. I broke the $25 barrier when I was deputy. So it's just people will pay for quality if you deliver quality on the other end. People will feel ripped off if you don't deliver quality on the other end. So yes, we do have to create that quality, and we do have to look for that quality individual, but we also have to create a quality environment. Because if we don't, and again, that's just the events. What about degree work? Oh my goodness. I mean, there is nothing that pains me more than hearing more prompts than actual work. Trevor, you've been in that. You've seen that before. You sit in a lodge and go, unmute yourself. You sit in a lodge and boom, next thing you know, the worshipful master is getting prompted from 6 different directions.
In our jurisdiction, it will also be in 4 different works.
Oh, goodness. And of course, now you have a candidate who has no clue who to pay attention to. This guy, that guy, the guy in front of me, I don't know.
Actually, that was quite a problem I remember from when I joined 40 years ago up until about 10 years ago. We don't really have that problem here, certainly in the Lower Mainland, as much. People have learned to keep their mouths shut. Yeah,
that's and the sad part is that your some of the lodges you're a member of, my lodge, that's more the exception than the rule. I mean, literally, you see it. You have past masters or individuals. Either one, they either don't know the work, or 2, they haven't done the work in years, eager to prompt. Just eager to prompt.
Yeah, well, actually, what they started doing in our district is that at the beginning of every installation, the installing master would read a statement that we have one prompter. It is so and so. He is over here. Nobody else is to prompt for any reason. Only him. And if you need a prompt, he will not give you a prompt unless you ask for the word. You must say word, and then you will get the prompt. But and it actually cleaned up our installations. Like so many, it was amazing how many guys on the sidelines were trying to prompt at the same time. Yeah. Right.
Prompting is not a quality experience. I remember I was officiating an outdoor degree, and it was a big deal. They had Masons from all up and down the West Coast at this particular event. And I looked around and I said, okay, you need to understand something. I'm in the East. I operate under a no prompt rule. So if anyone is eager to prompt me, and I ask my Grand Marshal, Sam, will you stand up? Sam will go over to you and collect $5 from you. Now, if you happen to be wearing a pretty collar, Sam will be waiting for 20. Guess what? Nobody prompted. But you could tell there were people eager to.
There's always people, I guess I'm getting off topic, but there are a lot of people who say you get out of Masonry what you put into it. And I think the flip side of that is you get out of Masons what you put into them. If you as a lodge are willing to create that quality experience for your brothers, they will want to put more into Masonry. It's sort of a virtuous cycle there. There's not it's not just me giving to Masonry. Masonry needs to give back some. And that's not necessarily from a mercenary perspective, but from a experiential, and there's a reason why I do this. It's not just to show up to meetings and because I like to read the minutes.
Yeah. And part of the virtual cycle is quality will create quantity. You as a Mason will want to do more. You will want to inspire others to do more. And,
exactly.
And if you keep creating that, guess what? That increases the quality of the overall lodge experience. I always tell the story that Bill Miller, past Grand Master of Washington, gave me the greatest gift, and that was the gift of curiosity. Shortly after I got my after I was raised a Master Mason, he sent me a book, and I'll talk about it again in one of the other modules. That has become my go-to book for, if I just want to read something Masonic. If I've got other things I'm reading, believe me, but if I just want to just have a light read, and I will pull out A Pilgrim's Path, and I will and I will read it. And the thing is, that'll drive me to other things. So Bill gave that to me. Bill wanted me to have a quality Masonic experience. Yeah, there's the book right there. Bill wanted me to have a quality Masonic experience, and I try to pass that on as well, because again, if he was able to motivate me, perhaps maybe I can motivate someone else, and so on and so on and so on. That increases the quality experience that everyone has, and that in my viewpoint also will increase the quantity of brethren who want to participate in the work of the lodge, whatever piece of that work of the lodge they're most comfortable of participating in.
And something tells me you've managed to motivate a lot of people.
Well,
from the lodge's perspective too. So I studied operations management in business school. One of the biggest sources of waste from our perspective is what we were talking about earlier. The lodge has finite resources. We have a certain amount of time. We have only a handful of guys in each lodge, or maybe some lodges are more blessed and have more than that, but there's only a finite amount of people who can do the ritual well, can do these degrees. You do not want to be, as a lodge, committing those resources into a place where you're not, or you suspect you're not going to get a return. You don't want, as someone said earlier, the guys who are going to show up to 3 meetings and then disappear or whatever because they're not going to get the secret of the lizard people. Maybe is not where we should be spending our resources. So Trevor, do you have a lot of, I guess the lodges you're in, are they doing a lot of degree work? Is that a common problem in your area? Or?
Well, not at the moment. We're not conferring any degrees, of course. I am hearing a lot of chatter that there are a lot of candidates and potential candidates and people going through the 6-step program out there, so that once we can meet in Tiled Lodge again, I suspect there's going to be a bit of a spike in membership. We'll wait and see.
Well, I know we have 10 active in our 6-step program right now. So, and they're all waiting, and of course we can't proceed, right? But we are dripping them the bits and pieces from the mentorship program. So yeah, but as soon as we can. And the one thing that our worshipful master keeps threatening to us is that we're going to be back next week and we have a degree, right? So you better be ready, because as soon as we get back, we have entered apprentice degree, fellowcraft degrees that have to be done. And if you're an officer of our lodge, he expects us to be prepared. Sees how we have all this time on our hands to prepare.
Exactly. Why haven't you been studying your ritual? Yep.
But again, that's
I know that part.
But again, that's all about creating a quality experience, though, right? To taking the time to carving out a little bit of time to do some work. And sometimes it can be just as simple as you getting in the car to go get the mail and just rattling off a piece of work.
Well,
I do that. I do that all the time. I'll drive down the mailbox and I'll rattle off some random piece of work just to make sure I still got it. And if I don't got it, then okay, that means when I get back home, I better look it up because it's still fresh in my head.
Yeah, well, there was an interesting thing that came from the mentorship program. One of our candidates on the way through, as he was being coached to prove up his entered apprentice degree, he thought that it was okay that he asked for a prompt on every other line, simply because he has experienced in his lodge a lot of prompts to get some degree work done. So he thought that was quite normal, and that he could do that the whole way through his prove up. And we of course educated him otherwise, but that was the effect of somebody not taking pride in their work, it showed, and that was the impact it had on the candidate as they went through. So it's really, really important that guys put that effort out into.
Oh, absolutely. I love telling the story of when I was, as we say, on the square at the close of a meeting, and I was in a different district, and the deputy was asked to give the closing charge. And as those of us who've given the closing charge at the end of the meeting know, it's a beautiful piece of work, and it sets brethren on a path when they leave the lodge. What I mean by that is, a lot of times when we come to lodge, we show up at the door of the lodge and we have the baggage from the day, right? And we're told, and we're kind of told without being told, leave that here. You're coming into the sanctitude of the lodge. So we go in, we have a nice lodge meeting. We get to be with our friends and brethren who we probably haven't seen, in some period of time. It's great. We have a nice meeting. We are inspired by education, good ritual, things like that. And then, of course, when we leave the building, we have a choice. We can pick up the baggage that we brought to lodge with us, or leave it there. Right? And so that's part of that closing charge, right? So any of it, he's giving the closing charge and he's botching it 10 ways to Sunday. Now, across the way from me is one of my mentors, very worshipful Brother Jeffrey Brunson, and he's staring daggers at me. I'm going, what am I doing? I'm thinking, I'm just standing here, right? So we get done with the charge, the whole bit. Jeff makes a beeline toward me, right? And he says to me, if I ever hear you do a charge like that when you're closing a meeting, there is no place for you to hide. Yeah. Now, I'm not trying to condone violence here, but why I am point. But there's there's a point to be made based on building on Steve's. Those of us who really care will really let someone know that, hey, look, this is acceptable. This isn't. This is what needs to be done. This doesn't. Now Jeff could come at me that way because Jeff and I have known each other now going on 40 plus years. Okay. So there's a relationship that we have, but it was a point that stuck with me that yes, I'm imparting something to someone. It has to be a quality lesson, because if it's not a quality lesson, then what's the point?
And I think on that note, if it's not quality, what's the point? Is sort of the summary of all of this topic. And I will say, and I wanted to say earlier, it seems to me this quantity and quality problem exists as a problem not just in relation to personnel and Masons, but also in just sort of everything we do. Why do we do so many activities when we could do fewer activities really, really well? And now that I've said my piece, on behalf of Very Worshipful Brother David and Worshipful Brother Steve and Right Worshipful Brother Trevor, Most Worshipful Brother Jim, thank you very much for being here this evening and talking with us about one of the 7 blunders. And we invite all of you to come back and listen on to our next conversation, which will be Education Without Philosophy. Most Worshipful Brother, do you have anything you'd like to say to close us out?
Just want to thank everyone for listening in. And again, like I said, I want to thank the brethren of the Working Tools podcast for showing themselves as quality brethren, helping to keep those of us who are viewing this podcast continually engaged in Freemasonry. And to you, my brethren who are watching the podcast, share it with a friend.
Oh, and look, I think we just found another 10 minutes. Please go on. And with that, thank you all very much for listening, and we look forward to the next episode of the Working Tools podcast. Goodbye.